Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are back with some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links action, and as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, a new ban list has come to Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and I did want to talk about that, because, quite frankly, first of all, I want to say that I didn't do a prediction video because I didn't really want there to be a ton of Duel Links content on this channel. In my eyes, I was thinking going into this ban list that it was going to be pretty big, that they were gonna hit a lot of the current meta contenders, things like Invoked, things like Shiranui, Karakuri, and Kristrons. All of them would get hit. I even thought about them hitting other popular top tier decks like Dark Magicians, Heroes, Cyber Dragons, Dragoonity especially, and stuff like that. Because they had just released these new boxes. One, two, so let's actually go to the boxes and not the new structure deck. But 1, 2, and 3, all of which were focused on XZ summoning. And none of the top tier decks had XZs in them, realistically. I mean, a few of them did. A few of them had, like, Diamond Direwolf in them. But realistically, most of them weren't XZ summon decks. They were Synchro summoning, or they were Fusion summoning. So I figured, Konami, if they want more money, they're going to want to nerf a lot of these other decks. And they're going to want to bring down the level of competition to basically artificially elevate the power level of the XZ decks. Plus, they literally just came out with a new structure deck, which is an XZ summon deck, which actually looks pretty cool, but there's that, right? So, with that in mind, let's take a look at the ban list. Upcoming Forbidden and Limited list. When will the list be implemented? December 15th. I don't know if the red means that it is not for certain going to be that day, but let's check it out, shall we? I've already seen this, so I already know what's happening, and as you can tell, immediately, yeah, they said this boy, this Cocytus, that has been such a plague to this community and to this format for so long, yeah, we're just gonna get rid of it, right? We're just gonna get rid of it. It doesn't need to be here. Now, in the TCG, this card doesn't matter. It's not even good, right? Because in the TCG, they also have Invoked Raijin, I think is what it's called, and Invoked Mechaba, which are both significantly better and provide better ways of disrupting your opponent. Whereas this is just a body to kind of sit on, and it doesn't even have 3,000 defense. If it had 3,000, it would be significantly better. But it just doesn't, so it's kind of mediocre. However, with that being said, in Duel Links, this has been plaguing the scene for so long. So many people have just summoned Cocytus and just sat there, doing nothing, just waiting. So, the fact that last ban list we did get a forbidden list with Grass and Cyberstein means that it opened the floodgates to more decks getting hit on the forbidden list and more cards getting forbidden or banned straight up. And I was surprised to see that they just straight up got rid of Cocytus, and I think that really does significantly depower Invoked. That basically makes Invoked Roids, like, useless. It's kind of bad. So, that's the first hit. Let's look down. You probably already saw it, but limited to 1 is Karakuri Merchant Inashichi. It was previously unlimited, and Karakuris were running rampant. They were really popular, but in more competitive tournaments like DLM tournaments, they weren't exactly performing too well. They were still considered a top tier, tier 1 deck. But overall, they weren't doing too well, and there were definitely ways to play around it. And they just said, no, we're just gonna limit you to 1. That whole restart thing where you're trying to search for specifically this guy, no, get it out of here. We're just gonna we're just gonna not let you... We're gonna make it so that it's super inconsistent. Limit it to 1. That hurts the consistency of Karakuri in particular a ton. I think Karakuri, with this hit, unless they change something else, it doesn't... this deck's basically just as good as it was previously. Because now you can't play the new card. I guess you could still play the Karakuri Cash In and Cash Shed and Kunam Zam. But basically, this was how you got to Kunam Zam. This is how you got your searches. This is what made the deck so strong. Was because you could, you know, if you open this, you could basically go into all of your combos and do everything that you needed to, and have, you know, multiple set back row and multiple monsters with with 2,000 or more attack on the field. And that was like the whole thing. Was it all basically sprung from this guy, and now there's only 1, which means if you stop it once, it's over. They can't really do anything. They just kind of look at you like, oh, okay. So, I think this basically kills Karakuri, or at least takes them off of the tier list. So there's that. Limited to 2. First of all, let's talk about this Dark Magician of Dark Illusion. Limiting this to 2. It's already been limited to 2 previously, which now puts it in the same vein as the Rod, the Magician's Rod. And, yeah, I think they really were going to hit Dark Magicians because they've been strong for quite some time. So, am I surprised to see a Dark Magician hit? No. Am I surprised that it's Magician of Dark Illusion? A bit, yeah. Yeah, this one was weird. I guess it's more so to put something limited to 2. Most people only play like 1 anyway. Some people play 2. I know I personally play only 1 when I play Dark Magicians, which I never do. But there's that. Then we have Shiranui Solitaire. Limited to 2. Cool! This was a huge card in the combo for Shiranui. It was used as a combo extender. It wasn't necessarily a starter, but it was definitely an extender. And overall, it's just really good in zombie decks. Now, granted, we don't have things like you know, Bardock? Baylordrock, I think is what it's called. And we don't have, like, you know, Vampire Sucker, and we don't have a lot of, like, the staple zombie-type decks. Cards. So Shiranui Solitaire getting hit to 2 was specifically to hit Shiranui. So it's good, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. Obviously, you'll see later on in the list, but it's a huge hit. Because, yeah, literally the next card is Sun Saga. They're limiting it to 2. They're like, okay, you gotta choose. Solitaire? Do you want to play Solitaire, or do you want to play Sun Saga? Ooh, come back. Come back. Do you want to play Solitaire, or do you want to play Sun Saga? Sun Saga is too strong in the current meta. This card will be limited, as many decks have extreme difficulty dealing with it, leading to less deck diversity in the metagame. That is absolutely true. I think someone else mentioned that basically every PvP event has just been a Shiranui fest. It's just been a Shiranui Cup. It's all Shiranui, just full of it. That's like the only deck type. You know, whether it's the turbo duels or the tag duels, or not the tag duels, the duel carnival, or anything that was a PvP event. It was just full to the brim of Shiranui players. And so now they're finally hitting Shiranui and like trying to get them out of the metagame. And I think this will do it. And you'll see, it gets worse for Shiranui, because they also put Spirit Master on the limited to 2 list. They basically said, hey, we know that you guys don't like Shiranui, so we're going to take every single one of their cards and just limit it to 2. So then you don't have to play against it. And everyone went, yeah, okay. I don't know if any variant of the deck survives after this. And I think that was their goal. They were like, okay, how do we hit both Control Shiranui and Combo Shiranui? Because Shiranui had 2 decks within the top tier deck profiles. They had 2 different decks from one archetype. No other deck has, I think, ever done that in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or I should say Duel Links. There might have been something in the TCG, like, you know, Invoked, but that doesn't necessarily count because it's more of like an engine Invoked, because it's just, it's a small card pool in the main deck. But anyway, yeah, I think they were just like, Shiranui really needs to get hit, and hitting Spirit Master, limiting that to 2 along with Solitaire, means that basically you can play 1 Spirit Master and 1 Solitaire. Or you could play 2 Solitaire, or you could play 2 Spirit Master, or something like that. Right? Which means combo Shiranui is significantly lower in power as well. That's a huge hit to both. Plus, they also did use Sun Saga in the combo Shiranui variant. But that one was less important, whereas in the control variant, where it was a lot of back row, it was oftentimes summon Sun Saga and just set up a bunch of back row and win from there. So, another huge hit. There you go. Now, Crystron, Citri, limited to 2. Yeah, this was the right one to hit. Citri was insanely powerful. It was the one that really facilitated most of their plays, because what you would do is you would just synchro summon during your opponent's turn. And you would put all of their special summon monsters into defense going into something like an Amatrix. Or you would summon up your Powered-in Zektron. The Powered-in Zektron would just not be destroyed, so it would just kind of sit on the field. So this is a huge hit. Yeah. With this card will be limited to reduce Crystron deck's win rate, as they have been a dominant deck for a long period, which I agree. They've been pretty consistently rogue for quite some time, about 6 months back. And then they started to finally get more and more consistent top decking profiles. They started to use Umi as, or Mythic Depths, which gave you Umi, the field spell, and they started to use Sea Stealth Attack, which made the deck really, really annoying, because most of their monsters are waters, and so it was very troublesome to try and get through the Crystron deck with Sea Stealth Attack. And so instead of hitting Sea Stealth Attack, like I think a lot of people thought they were going to hit Sea Stealth Attack because it was an older card, they decided to actually hit Citri, and they decided to hit the main deck Crystron monsters. So, I like that hit. I think it's absolutely invaluable. So, yeah, really good. They also hit Scrap Recycler, again, to nerf the consistency of Crystron decks. This card will be limited along with other cards used in Crystron decks to reduce their ability to easily set up Synchro Summons. That was exactly it. Scrap Recycler going to 2 means that you can either use 1 Citri and 1 one Scrap Recycler, or you just don't use Scrap Recycler, which I think was the idea. They were like, alright, let's make sure that Crystrons are playing Crystron cards and not just generic machine type support. So, there's that. Then they hit a normal card. Okay? They hit another one. They hit Gen X Controller. Why? Same reason as Scrap Recycler, but this card doesn't do anything by itself. But when it is paired with Crystron, or Gen X Undyne, which is a water type monster that says, when this card is normal summoned, I think. Anyway, when this card is summoned, send a water type monster to the graveyard, add a Gen X controller to the hand. So what they would do is they would play a Gen X controller, and then they would just use the Undyne to send a water type monster, which all of Crystrons are water types. They would send a water type to the graveyard to basically get their plays started. So Gen X Undyne was the problem, well, was the combo starter, but limiting Gen X Controller basically doesn't do anything to that specific deck. It doesn't do anything to Gen X, but it does hit Crystron because, again, it makes it so that you could only play one Crystron or Gen X controller with one Citree, which basically says, okay, you kill the deck, right? Because you need multiple tuners with Crystrons to get out Quarion, right? So realistically, you just kind of don't play Gen X controller now. That's what they're going for. You're not going to play Scrap Recycler. You're not going to play Gen X controller. You're basically only going to play Citree. And you'll see none of the other Crystron cards are unlimited. None of the other Shiranui cards are unlimited. Meaning, Squire is still at 2, which means you can't play Spirit Master and Squire. You could only play one of them. You can't play Solitaire and Squire. You can't play Solitaire and Spirit Master and Squire and Sun Saga. They really just hated this Shiranui deck. But also, with Citree, you can't play the Impact if you want to play multiple tuners. If you want to play Rion and Citree, you can only play one of each, right? So it's going to be much more difficult to get out Quarion. It's going to be much more difficult to stay alive, and it's going to be a lot more inconsistent. So, huge ban list. I did kind of predict this in my own mind. I was like, from a Konami perspective, they're going to want to sell their new cards, the XZ summon mechanic. They really want to boost that sales. And so what are they going to do? They're going to nuke everything that is currently prominent. So, there you go. And then the other thing that they hit was Senatus. Senatus, okay, Dragoonities were all over the place in the KC Cup. It was basically Dragoonity Simulator. That was, like, I only played the first day, and basically every deck that I played was Dragoonity. So yeah, hitting this card, this card will be limited to prevent Dragoonity decks from having easy access to generic limit 2 cards. Because they previously limited a different card to basically do the same thing. It didn't work. That card that they limited, Dragoonity players just kind of took it out of the deck. Now, they wanted to hit this so that they can't play Saki Hatrunade and just like Hatrunade you and be like, okay, no more set cards, right? So, Dragoonities got hit. Now, and Senatus was a card that they played at 3. It's a combo starter. It gets you into your plays. So you kind of have to play it at least at 2. And, yeah. Now they're not going to play... You're not going to get sacked by a Dragoonity player playing Hatrunade. That's just not the case. So, that's a good hit. They were very popular in the KC Cup. So I'm not surprised that they got hit as well. Now, limited to 3 cards. First off, Invocation. Holy crap, they killed Invoker. Oh my goodness, they finally did it. Oh, I'm so happy. This card will be limited as it is used over a long period in a wide range of decks with high win rates. That is absolutely the case. Invoked is dead. Good riddance. Goodbye. I don't have to play against that awful deck anymore. I can actually play the game. I don't have to deal with Cocytus. I don't have to deal with... I just unplugged my headphones. I don't have to deal with Cocytus. I don't have to deal with Invocation. I don't have to deal with Purgatrio. Now, to be fair... Okay, I plugged my headphones back in. To be fair, I thought that they would limit to 3 Purgatrio in particular, so that you could still play some of the other cards. But instead they said, you know what? At most you could play 2 Invokers and 1 Invocation, or 1 Invoker and 2 Invocation, right? That is the most that you could play. You're not going to be able to play... First of all, you're not going to be able to play Cocytus now. You just can't. You can't just sit on Cocytus. It's awful. It's terrible for the game state, and I'm glad that they did that. You can't summon him. Just straight up. Purgatrio, not the issue. Summon him in as much as you want, not a big deal, right? But Mage Lanica, you still only get 2. You still only get 2, okay? I like it. Because now it's going to be significantly more inconsistent, but you're going to see it more in decks that are specifically centered around something else, but maybe have extra deck space and maybe a few spots in the main deck. Something like, I mean, if we get Raijin, maybe Ritual Beasts could play Invoked, but, you know, most of the time it's going to be something like, you know, a Megalith deck, or something like that, that already has a strategy, but this is just to help facilitate and make better boss monsters and more specific situations. So, yeah. I like the hit. I am so glad that they limited Invocation to 3. They literally just said, everything that's currently meta, nuke it all. Just nuke it all. Just get it out of there. So I really like that. They also hit Fusion Reserve, which is crazy, because it's like, this card sucks. This card's not really great, but they limited it to 3 because they didn't want it to be played with Invoker anymore. They're like, stop. Stop. This card will be limited so that it cannot be played alongside multiple copies of generic limited 3 cards. The generic ones being Invoker, Invocation, and Cosmic Cyclone. I think that was the big issue, was that it was being played alongside the Invoker. So, there you go. Pretty simple. Magician Navigation to 3. No longer can you play Cosmic Cyclone in the Dark Magician Mirror match. You have to play triple Cosmic Cyclone. Or, sorry, triple Magician Navigation. Except you actually can't, because Magician's Rod is also there. I lied to you. Good luck. Dark Magician players, I don't know which... what do you play now? How do you build this deck? I guess you would play... Would you play less Magician Navigation? Would you play 2 Rod, 1 Navigation with... maybe the, like... Dark Veil and... or Dark Magic Veil and the other Dark Magic Curtain. The other things that special summon Dark Magicians, basically. I feel like that's the only way to play the deck now. So, yeah. This card will be limited to promote deck diversity, as Dark Magician decks have been highly prevalent in ranked duels for a long time. They are... ever since Dark Magic Circle came out, which was around the same time as, like, Black Wings came out, they've been ever so prevalent. And even prior to that, when Magician Navigation came out, they were prevalent as well, because this added in the opportunity to even get a Dark Magician out onto the field. But I like it. I think it's yeah, kill the deck. I'm sick and tired of seeing this on the ladder. What I'm sad about, though, is that they didn't hit Blue Eyes. Because Blue Eyes is even more prevalent on the ladder, I think, than Dark Magician. I've seen more Blue Eyes, but that's just me. I think that Blue Eyes also should have gotten a hit. I do think that they are still pretty strong. I don't know what you would hit. Probably, like, White Stone of Ancients, limit that to 2. And that's probably it. I think the rest of the deck is fine. But... granted, I'm also a Ritual Beast player, so I really don't like Blue Eyes, because they just summon up Spirit Dragon, and I just kind of look at them like, oh, well, why'd you do that? Because then I can't do anything, and I just lose. So, but yeah, there you go. Assault Armor. This card was limited to 2. It's whatever. They just limited it to 3, because they're like, it should be good, right? The limitation... should be, or the limitation to this card will be eased as its power level is acceptable in the current metagame. So, it's good. Equip only to a warrior type monster. That is the only monster you control against the under attack during your main phase 1. You can send this equipped card to the graveyard to allow the equipped monster to attack twice during each battle phase this turn. So, it's not great. It's kind of slow, and it's specific to warrior type monsters, but meh. Now, no longer on the list. We're going to talk about all 3 of these cards. First off, we're going to talk about Dragoonity Lance. Dragoonity Lance is unlimited because Senatus was limited in its place. This was the card that basically no one was playing in Dragoonities, and they would just play Hatronade instead. So now they can't play Hatronade, and you're more likely to come across this, which basically just boosts the attack of the Ascalon, which makes it about as terrifying, but it also makes it unaffected by trap cards, which is the important part. Which means if you're trying to deal with it with a trap card, you're going to have to deal with it before this guy comes down, or before it finishes activating. So, there is that. However, if you're dealing with it in any other way, spell card, monster card, it's easy. It's just whatever. As long as you're not destroying it, it's not going to be that big of a deal. So yeah. Then we have the Shadow Scout. Honestly, I don't see this card much anyway. So unlimiting it, maybe we'll see it more. Maybe we'll see more burn mill decks. But in all honesty, this card draws you 3 cards. And then, it discards spells, but it draws you 3 cards. Which is pretty good. And, well, of course, there's, like, the whole mill strategy and, like, we're going to make you draw your entire deck or send it to the graveyard or what have you. It's not really that strong. So, unlimiting it makes sense. I don't like it. I think mill cards just shouldn't exist, but they have to compensate for, or they have to allow every archetype or every player to have something that they can play and enjoy. And then Donpa, the Fur Hire, is off the limit list. It's just completely unlimited. I kind of wasn't expecting it to just completely come off the ban list. I was expecting it to go to limited to 3. But yeah, they still limit it. They still have the other guy, the guy that prevents attacking. Like, you can't attack any of the other Fur Hires. You have to attack that one. I forget what it's called. That guy's still limited to 1. But all of the other, I think all of the other Fur Hires are currently off the ban list, if I am not mistaken. But yeah, there you go. Donpa is off. You can play Fur Hires now. And I think Fur Hires are really weak in the current metagame, though. Even against this weakened state, you still have things like Ritual Beasts, Heroes, Cyber Dragons, Water decks, the Water XZ deck, the Go XZ deck. What else is there? Weather Painters, even. So yeah, all of those decks are still stronger than Fur Hires, and can much more easily deal with the Fur Hires now than when they first came out. So there you go. A lot of people were thinking that something like Dark Lords or Ritual Beasts may come off the ban list, or even something like Amazonis would also come off the ban list. I don't think Amazonis comes off the ban list because it's very annoying to play against, even if it is specifically a terrible deck with the limited cards, or even without the limited cards, with them at full power. Even then, if it's a terrible deck, they're still going to be like, no, we're going to keep it on the ban list because it's annoying to play against. So, there's that. However, for, like, Dark Lords and Ritual Beasts, obviously they didn't want to give more power to Dark Lords because they wanted XZs to be good. So, of course, Dark Lords just kind of shuts down everything, and it's like, alright, only really top-tier decks can play, because otherwise you're going to have to deal with Dark Lords. So, that's kind of why I didn't think that they would come off the ban list. And then the other thing is Ritual Beasts. There's nothing really to change there. If you unlimit Elder, it becomes super strong and super powerful in the meta. If you limit a different card, it's the same thing, basically. Like, yeah, you could have more Elder plays, but it's like now you don't have Elder Canahawk plays, or you don't have like as many windows to protect yourself, or something like that. So, yeah. I do think, however, that they probably should have limited window to 3, maybe. Well, maybe unlimiting Elder if they were going to do something like that, because that would prevent other decks from playing Winda as well, which I've seen a lot, because you can fusion someone just with the Winda. Anyway, that's it for the ban list. This was a huge ban list. It just nuked. It just nuked. Everything is gone. I love it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Duel Links, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.